My stepmom banned me from the hospital room, so I couldn't say goodbye to my dying dad. I didn't fight her there. I waited for the will reading. She fainted when the lawyer revealed I was the sole executor of the estate, and she was getting $0. Original post. I, 32 male, buried my dad 3 weeks ago. Still doesn't feel real typing that out. But what I need to get off my chest isn't just the grief. It's everything that happened around it. And honestly, the ending. My parents divorced when I was 11. Mom passed for breast cancer when I was 19. Dad remarried when I was 22 to a woman I'll just call my stepmother. She was 34 at the time. Dad was 51. I tried to like her. Really did. But from day one, she made it clear I was an obstacle, not family. Quick context. Dad built a successful HVAC business over 30 years. Started with one truck and ended with a fleet of 12 and contracts across 3 counties. He also owned our family home outright, the house I grew up in that my mom helped pick out before she got sick. When he married my stepmother, she moved into that house. In my mom's house, Dad and I stayed close despite her. Weekly dinners when I could make them. Fishing trips twice a year. He'd call me every Sunday morning without fail. But over the past few years, those calls got shorter. She was always needing him for something. The dinners became monthly, then quarterly. She isolated him slowly, and I watched it happen feeling helpless. 8 months ago, Dad was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. The doctors gave him maybe a year with treatment, 6 months without. He chose treatment, not for himself, he told me privately, but because he had things to sort out first. I visited as much as I could. Every other weekend, sometimes weekly. My stepmother hated it. She'd schedule appointments during my visits. She'd suddenly need the car. She'd have friends coming over, so it wasn't a good time. I pushed through anyway. 3 weeks ago, Dad took a turn. Bad one. He was admitted to the hospital on a Tuesday. I drove 4 hours the second I got the call from my aunt, Dad's sister, whom my stepmother conveniently forgot to inform until hours later. I got to the hospital at 11 p.m., went straight to the ICU, and there she was, standing outside his room like a guard dog. "What are you doing here?" She looked genuinely annoyed. Not sad. Annoyed. "He's my father. I'm here to see him. Visiting hours are over. Family only right now." I stared at her. "I am family." She crossed her arms. "I'm his wife. I'm his medical proxy. And I'm telling you that he needs rest, not stress. You can come back tomorrow during regular hours. He might not have until tomorrow. Don't be dramatic. The doctors said he's stable." I tried to go around her. She literally stepped in front of me. A nurse came over asking if everything was okay. My stepmother, with tears suddenly appearing from nowhere, said I was causing a scene and she was just trying to protect her husband. The nurse looked at me like I was the problem. I could have fought harder, could have demanded to speak to a doctor, could have called security myself. But I was exhausted, terrified, and honestly, I didn't want my dad's last memory, if he was even conscious, to be me screaming in a hallway. "Fine," I said. "I'll be back at 8 a.m. Visiting hours start at 10. I left, got a motel room 2 miles away. Didn't sleep at all. At 6:47 a.m., my aunt called. Dad passed at 6:12 a.m. I never got to say goodbye, because my stepmother decided I didn't deserve to. The next week was a blur. Funeral arrangements that she controlled completely. She picked the cheapest casket. She selected readings from a religion my dad never practiced. She didn't include me in the obituary. Literally, it said survived by his loving wife and nothing else. My aunt had to threaten to go to the newspaper herself before my stepmother agreed to add "and his son" as an afterthought. At the funeral, she played the grieving widow perfectly. Black dress, dabbing at dry eyes, accepting condolences from people who had no idea what she was really like. I stood in the back, said nothing, let her have her show, because I knew something she didn't. 3 days before Dad went into the hospital, he called me. Not our usual Sunday call, this was a Wednesday. His voice was weak, but clear. "Son, I need you to know something. I updated my will 6 months ago. New lawyer, new everything. Your stepmother doesn't know about it. The original will she saw, it doesn't exist anymore." I asked him why he was telling me this. "Because I know what she's going to try to do, and I need you to trust me. Trust that I took care of things." Don't fight her before the reading. Let her think she's won. Then show up and let the lawyer do the talking. Those are the last real words my dad ever said to me. So when she blocked me from that hospital room, when she excluded me from the funeral planning, when she started telling relatives that Dad really wanted her taken care of, I stayed quiet. The will reading was scheduled for yesterday. Her lawyer, who she thought was also Dad's lawyer, sent out notices. I got one. My aunt got one. My stepmother's daughter from her first marriage got one. Yeah, she has a kid who's 26 and has met my dad maybe 4 times. What my stepmother didn't know was that Dad's real lawyer would be attending too, with a real will. Update 1. The day of the reading. Yesterday morning, my stepmother's lawyer had set up the reading at his office downtown. Nice conference room, leather chairs, the works. I arrived 15 minutes early wearing the same suit I wore to Dad's funeral. My aunt came with me. My stepmother was already there with her daughter, who was on her phone, not even pretending to care. My stepmother saw me and actually smirked. "I'm surprised you bothered coming," she said. "I know your father, and I discussed things, and he wanted to make sure I was comfortable. But I'm sure there's something small for you. A fishing rod, or whatever you two wasted your time with." I didn't respond. Just sat down. Her lawyer started reading what she believed was the will. It was dated 4 years ago, right after their wedding. Everything to her, the house, the business, the investments, everything. The only mention of me was a $5,000 remembrance and some furniture from my childhood bedroom. My stepmother didn't even try to hide her smile. "Well, I think that's clear enough. The house obviously stays with me, and I'll be taking over the business operations with the help of my financial advisor. There are some changes I want to make immediately." That's when my aunt spoke up. "Actually, there's another document that needs to be reviewed." The door opened. A man in a gray suit walked in. This was my dad's real lawyer, the one he'd hired 18 months ago without telling anyone except me and my aunt. My stepmother's lawyer looked confused. "I'm sorry, who are you?" The new lawyer introduced himself and placed a folder on the table. "I'm the attorney of record for the actual last will and testament, which was executed 14 months ago and supersedes any previous versions. The document you just read has been legally revoked." My stepmother's face went white. That's not possible." He showed me the will. "We discussed it." "Ma'am, your husband had every right to change his will at any time. He did so, properly witnessed, notarized, and filed with the probate court." He started reading. "The house, left to me, with a stipulation that my stepmother had 90 days to vacate. The business, left to me, with instructions to retain the current management team, but with full authority to make any changes I saw fit. His investments and savings split 70% to me, 30% to my aunt, who had helped care for him during treatment. Personal effects, divided between me and my aunt. And for his wife of 10 years? A single sentence. To my wife, I leave the sum of $1, as she has already received more than enough from this marriage through her unauthorized access to my personal accounts, which is documented in Exhibit C attached here too." The lawyer pulled out Exhibit C, bank statements, credit card records, cash withdrawals. Over the past 5 years, my stepmother had siphoned nearly $89,000 from various accounts, always in amounts small enough not to trigger alerts. Dad had known. He'd tracked every penny. He just never confronted her about it. My stepmother stood up so fast her chair fell backward. "This is fraud. He was dying. He wasn't in his right mind. This is clearly your doing." She pointed at me. "You manipulated a sick old man." "Ma'am," the lawyer said calmly, "the will was executed 14 months ago, when your husband was of completely sound mind. It was witnessed by 2 independent parties, neither of whom are present in this room. Additionally, he recorded a video statement affirming his decisions, which I can provide to the probate court if you choose to contest." Her daughter finally looked up from her phone. "Mom, what's happening?" "Shut up." My stepmother was shaking now. "This isn't legal. I'm his wife. I have rights. You can't just leave a spouse nothing." "Actually," the lawyer continued, "in this state, a spouse can be disinherited if there's documented cause. The financial irregularities in Exhibit C provide that cause. Furthermore, the estate has the right to pursue recovery of those funds. As executor, That decision falls to your stepson. She turned to me. For the first time in 10 years, she looked at me with something other than contempt. It was fear. You can't do this. I gave him 10 years. I took care of him when he was sick. You blocked me from saying goodbye to my father. My voice was steady, quiet. You made sure I wasn't there when he died. For 10 years, you tried to push me out of his life. And now you're finding out that he noticed. He noticed everything, and he made his choice. She didn't faint dramatically like in the movies. She just sat down, slowly, like someone had pulled the air out of her. Her daughter was asking questions she wasn't answering. Her lawyer was flipping through the documents, looking for some loophole. There wasn't one. Dad had made sure of it. My aunt squeezed my hand. We left them there, still sputtering, and walked out into the sunlight. Update 2, 2 weeks later, the aftermath. So it's been 2 weeks since the reading. Things have been a lot. My stepmother hired a lawyer to contest the will within 48 hours. I expected that. What I didn't expect was the absolute circus of entitlement that followed. First, she tried the grieving widow angle with anyone who would listen. Started calling relatives, dads, old friends, even business associates. Told everyone I had brainwashed my dying father into cutting her out. That I was vindictive and cruel and never accepted her as family. Some people believed her. Most of the family didn't. They'd seen how she operated for years. One of my dad's oldest friends called me directly. "Kid, I played poker with your old man for 20 years. He told me about this 2 years ago. Said he finally saw her clearly. Told me to tell you he was proud of how you handled yourself through all of it. Keep doing that." That call made me cry for the first time since the funeral. Second attack. She tried to claim Dad wasn't mentally competent when he signed the new will. Her lawyer sent over a demand for all medical records, claiming the cancer had affected his cognitive function. My lawyer was ready. Dad had gotten a cognitive evaluation done the same week he signed the will, specifically because he knew she'd try this. Results showed him in perfect mental condition. Her lawyer backed off that angle real fast. Third move, the guilt trip through her daughter. This girl, who I've spoken to maybe 3 times in my entire life, suddenly started texting me. "My mom is going to be homeless because of you. How can you sleep at night, knowing you're throwing a widow out on the street? My mom gave up her career to take care of your dad, and this is how you repay her." I responded once. "Your mom gave up a part-time retail job, not a career. She spent 10 years spending money she didn't earn. She has 90 days to find a new place, which is 90 more days than she gave me to say goodbye. Don't contact me again." She didn't. But the best part, the absolutely peak entitlement moment, came last week. I got a letter from my stepmother directly, handwritten, which was almost impressive. Here's the highlights. She wanted to negotiate. She proposed that she would allow me to keep the business if I let her stay in the house. The house my mother helped pick out. The house she moved into as a stranger. She wrote, and I quote, "It would be the Christian thing to do, and I know your father would want us to find peace." My father literally wrote in his will that she was to receive $1 and had documentation of her stealing. But sure, Christian thing to do. I didn't respond. But I did tell my lawyer to begin preparing the recovery action for the $89,000. If she wanted to play hardball, I'd play harder. The 90-day clock is ticking. She has until the end of next month to vacate. She's tried 3 more things since the letter. She changed the locks on the house. My lawyer sent a cease and desist within hours, pointing out that as executor, I have legal authority over the property. She had to let a locksmith in to change them back. She tried to sell some of Dad's tools from the garage. A neighbor who knew my dad saw her loading stuff into a truck and called me. Those tools are part of the estate. I filed a police report. Nothing major happened, but it's documented now. She called my workplace. Yeah, she actually called my employer claiming I had stolen her inheritance and was under investigation for elder abuse. My HR department called me in. I explained the situation with documentation, and they dropped it. But the fact that she tried, that tells you everything. Final update, resolution. It's been 6 weeks since the will reading now. I've been waiting to post this final update because I wanted things to actually be resolved, not just in progress. Here's where everyone ended up. My stepmother did not leave the house voluntarily. At the 60-day mark, she stopped responding to my lawyer's communications entirely. She was banking on me not having the nerve to actually evict her. She was wrong. On day 91, the sheriff's department showed up with an eviction order. I wasn't there. My lawyer advised against it, said it would only give her ammunition for some kind of harassment claim. But my aunt went. Said my stepmother screamed the entire time. Called me every name in the book. Told the deputies they were helping a criminal steal from a widow. They didn't care. They'd seen the paperwork. She had to leave with whatever she could fit in her car that day. The rest, anything that wasn't explicitly listed as her personal property, stayed, including most of the furniture she'd bought with my dad's money over the years. Estate property. Her daughter showed up at some point during the eviction, apparently tried to get confrontational with one of the deputies. Not smart. She didn't get arrested, but she did get a very firm warning about interfering with legal proceedings. Last I heard, my stepmother is staying with a friend from her church group. Her contestation of the will was officially dismissed 2 weeks ago. Her lawyer filed for something called a summary judgment, claiming the will was invalid on procedural grounds. The judge reviewed Dad's documentation, the video statement, the cognitive evaluation, the witness testimony, and threw it out in less than 10 minutes. The $89,000 recovery action is proceeding. Her lawyer tried to argue that those were gifts from my father. My lawyer presented Exhibit C again, which showed the withdrawals were made without Dad's knowledge or authorization from accounts he didn't know she had access to. The judge wasn't sympathetic. We're likely looking at a judgment against her, though collecting might be another story. Can't get blood from a stone, as they say. But the judgment will follow her. It'll affect her credit. It'll be on record. That's something. The house is mine now. I've been there twice since the eviction. Once to change all the locks for real this time, and once to just sit in my dad's office. His desk is still there. His books. A photo of him and my mom on their wedding day that my stepmother had apparently shoved in a drawer. I put it back on the shelf. I'm not sure what I'll do with the house long term. Sell it, maybe. Rent it out. I can't live there. Too many memories, too much complicated history. But I'm not rushing that decision. The business is stable. Dad's management team has been running things smoothly for years, and I told them nothing changes. I attend monthly meetings, review the finances, make sure everyone's taken care of. Dad built something real there, and I'm not going to let it fall apart. My aunt and I have gotten closer through all this. We have dinner together every few weeks now. She tells me stories about Dad when he was young, before I was born, before my mom. Things I never knew. It helps. Do I feel guilty? Sometimes. Late at night, mostly. Not about my stepmother. She earned every consequence she got. But about Dad. About whether I could have fought harder to see him those last years. Whether I should have pushed back more against her isolating him. Whether he died thinking I'd given up on him. But then I remember that last phone call. Trust that I took care of things. He knew exactly what he was doing. He spent his last months making sure I'd be okay. Making sure she couldn't take anything else from our family. That was his final act as my father. Protecting me, even from beyond the grave. My stepmother will probably never admit she did anything wrong. She'll tell her version of this story for the rest of her life. How she was the victim, how I manipulated a dying man, how she was robbed of what she deserved. That's fine. She can have her narrative. I have the house. I have the business. I have my dad's last words telling me he was proud of me. That's more than enough. Edit. For everyone asking, yes, I'm okay. Or I will be. Grief is weird. Some days are fine. Some days I can barely function. But I'm working through it. Therapy helps. So does knowing that I did what Dad asked. I trusted him, and he came through. To anyone going through something similar, document everything. Get your own lawyer. And when someone tells you who they are, believe them the first time. My stepmother showed me who she was the day she moved into our house and started rearranging my mom's things. Took me 10 years to fully accept it. Don't make my mistake. Thanks for reading. Time to close this chapter and start the next one.